I grew up thinking entrepreneurship is not for me. I met this guy who was like, you're a reluctant entrepreneur. Because the truth is, you're never going to have enough money. Pet food growth in Ghana is double digit.
Really?
In Ghana, so mine is like it's like meal prep for dogs. Really? I mean, we're making beef bonnet stew with plantain for dogs. Right? So...
So can a human actually eat this? So are you making enough money to sustain yourself at the moment, or you're not there yet?
I've had to give up half my house, When you have to fire, you have to fire. Don't be emotional about it. And then they come in from day one, they put their head on the table. Yep. They're checking their phone.
So have you found that anybody has come to work for you and tried to replicate your business?
Business flop, yeah. And I'm very much in favor of people starting businesses outside of Accra.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Built for Ghana. Today I have with me Akua.
Well, Akua if you are Ghana, from my mother's side. So that's
really?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Nice. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Great.
Very fulfilled in my new business.
I love
despite the challenges.
There's always challenges. Business comes with challenges. There's nothing that you can do to surpass that,
Yeah.
Okay, so very quickly, I want you to tell me about your journey to Ghana. Are you Ghanaian? How did you arrive here? What's your story been like?
Well, my story is I am Ghanaian, born and raised in Ghana, and then after high school, I moved to the US for university. I was supposed to be a doctor, and then I kind of diverted into food science and nutrition, which turned out to be the best ever diversion because I absolutely fell in love with food, and I was like, there's a science of food? Like, this sounds like my kind of thing because it combines art and science in a very tangible way, right? So I got my master's in food science and nutrition, and I continued working in the US, and my last job in the US was actually in pet food. And then that took me to France and eventually back to Ghana in 2009. So I kind of did a world tour and then came back home. Yeah.
Okay, I see. So you've been here since 2009?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So
a lot of travels, but yes, based here.
Oh, nice. Okay, and how have you found the changes from 2009 to now in Ghana?
Big changes. But I'll say first, for me, the first change was coming back because I left as a kid. A very sheltered kid. I grew up in Tema. I went to boarding school. Yeah. And then I came back an adult. But that was good because it was almost like I was seeing Ghana for the first time. And not just as an adult, but really as a person, because, again, my experience of Ghana had been very limited to mainly school, really, and then the small town I grew up in. So for me, it was a discovery. I wouldn't even say rediscovery. It was a discovery. I'd never been to Makola till I came back, for example. Stuff like that, yeah. So, of course, it was culture shock, especially the prices. My goodness, I kept thinking my flat in France was cheaper than...
Really?
Yeah, and, I was like, and that was Paris, but... Accra is expensive, so that took a lot of getting used to. I couldn't be as autonomous as quickly as I wanted because things don't move at the pace you're used to, and I had to even learn how to ask for help in a different way. So building community. So for me, it's been mostly good, definitely stretching, but it was like a discovery. And I always tell people, because I've lived in different countries, it's like Ghana is a different country, right? Yeah. So I had to learn it. And of course, I've been here this long because I'm not just surviving, but thriving. Yeah. But you have to learn the culture and build your community, which I managed to do a lot actually through my job, funny enough. I still got to travel a lot, especially within West Africa and parts of Asia. So everything was new discovery. Of course, there's the impatience, things not happening at the time you want. But overall, I think once I found my rhythm, and now I'm actually refining my rhythm with entrepreneurship, I think that you can build, your kind of small bubble, your community, and figure out what works for you. Yeah. Right? So overall, it's been good. Okay. I mean, I would have run away a long time ago.
Like a lot of us, yeah. So you touched on something very quickly there. You said you found that Accra was more expensive than when you were in Paris. How much? What was the difference like?
Well, because when I moved back, I was like, oh, I'm going to get an apartment in Laboni or Cantonment. And I'd lived in Paris. My rent in Paris was 850 euros.
Okay.
And for I don't know. Well, maybe outside of the central areas of Accra, you might, very big emphasis on might. You might get a place for what I was paying abroad, right? So that was the biggest shock. I was like, oh, I should have negotiated better. Yeah. So definitely it's about 3 times the cost.
Woo!
Yeah.
My God. For how many bedrooms?
It was a 1 bedroom. Yeah, and 1 bedroom to 1 bedroom. Yeah, because I was looking at it was like $2,400, $3,000.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that was the biggest shock. I had to stay with my parents a lot longer than I anticipated. But that was good.
Wow.
Good food. So
yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you went into doing pet food as a job, right? So when you came to Ghana, did you have a plan as to what you wanted to do when you arrived here?
I did. I had a job, so that made it easier. So actually, I'm trying not to mention the name of the multinational, but I'm pretty sure people will figure out in the end. But the multinational I worked for, which had the pet food, was still my employer when I came back, except that they didn't have the pet food here. So then I started to do human food, right? I'm trying not to say brands because they're so common. But so I was very fortunate in the sense that I got a job. I had a job waiting for me with the same employer, albeit different.
So you were working here for them?
I was working here for them, yes. Yeah. So that helped a lot.
I bet it did. Yes. So then how did you go from having a job with reliable income to then deciding, oh, you know what, I'm going to be an entrepreneur? Like, how does that happen?
I'm still asking the question because I grew up thinking entrepreneurship is not for me at all.
Like a lot of people.
Like a lot of people, especially in Ghana, because you really have to hustle and shout a lot and follow up with people because things just don't happen in the way you're used to. And I'm very scientific, I'm very scientist-based, right? So I'm very regimented. So I didn't have plans of entrepreneurship during my working life. However, I had always said that when I retire, I'll open a small, cute pet shop, and just do something fun, and so that I'll have something to do. So that was in the back of my mind, but I kept on working, and actually I took a kind of sabbatical, and during the sabbatical, I was so bored that I started to make the pet food just for fun, right?
Really? Yeah. Just pet food for fun?
Just for fun, because formulation is my superpower. I love formulation, right? I used to formulate in cosmetics as well, and skincare, but food has been the one that really took my heart, right? So I would do these formulas, based on looking at nutrition, ingredient availability, functionality, just for fun. Mind you, I didn't have a dog with me, right? So then one of my girlfriends comes to the house and I'm showing her all the things I've done and she's like, what are you going to do with them? And I was like, good question. She's like, yeah, because do you have a dog now? No. So then she was like, go on Diaspora. I don't know if you've heard of Diaspora. No. It was like, it still is. It's a platform.
For diasporans.
Yeah. She's like, put an intro of yourself and then offer people to taste it for free, to see how their dogs like it. Because everything you've done so far is theory, right? Yeah. So I did an intro to myself and about 12 people contacted me. And they tried it and it was the most gratifying moments. My dog likes your food, my dog licked the bowl. I was like, what?
Really?
Because this was from my brain. And then it's like, wow, they really like it. And also, I'm not very good at human food, right? So I was like,
really?
Well, you know what? The dogs like my food.
Because I was going to ask you, like, why didn't you do like food for humans if you like,
funny enough, my mom's a caterer and a pastry chef, like the best, right? But I just didn't have any interest in cooking, but in the science, the formulation part, that's the part that I really resonated with.
Right.
So these people tried it with their pets, and then a couple of them were like, listen, I've been having a hard time getting food for my very picky dog. This seems to be working for them. And of course, with dogs, you don't only check if they eat it, but what comes out, right?
Yeah.
Like, is it well digested? Is it, I don't want to get too graphic, but you have to make sure that what comes out is, because it's a sign of the food quality. And they're like, yeah, my dog's been having digestive issues. So listen, I don't care. You can call it paying hobby, side hustle, whatever. But me, I'm placing my order, right? So literally that's how it started. So I used to call it a paying hobby. I met this guy who was like, "You're a reluctant entrepreneur." Right? I was like, "Yeah, that sounds like
I
me."
like that term, reluctant entrepreneur. Yeah.
So I did that. I went back into full-time corporate again, and it was my side hustle since 2016.
Okay.
And at some point, I even stopped because I was so burnt out, managing both. But then, about a year and a half, 2 years, almost 2 years ago, I felt like I was ready to make the big leap. It's just, I know people think it's cheesy,
did you have savings to back you? Is that why you felt more confident?
I did. I did. Yes, I did. And actually, the sabbatical was kind of my testing ground, right? Because it was like, oh, this is nice, but sis, the money's gonna run out, and we need to finish paying off the house, and we need to get all these things done. So when I went back in, I was like, I don't know next when this wave of I need a break will hit me again.
Yeah.
So let me just get my finances in order. So I paid off my debt, my mortgage, basically. And then I managed to save a lot. Thankfully, also my employer was very good on the PF Provident Fund side. Very, very the best rates I've ever seen. So that also enabled me to save. And because I had my PF for more than 10 years, then it had really accumulated, right? So you're right. After that first time, I was like, this time around, I'm going to do it so that I have a runway, But I'll also say, yes, there's a financial security, but there's also faith. There's also faith, security, because the truth is, you're never going to have enough money. You will have a lot of money to last you maybe a few years, but you still, the faith is what is now going to turn that into a sustainable, otherwise my savings will just run down. So I'm going both on, yes, there's a financial discipline, and also now I'm going on faith, and I can see it coming into fruition that we're growing, and yes, I will get to a point where I may not even have to continue to touch my investments. I can leave it to grow. So yeah, I would say, side hustle for 10 years, but well worth it if it can get me to the point where it's sustaining me, and it's a thriving business. So the finances.
Okay, but coming to Ghana, do you think that Ghanaians have pets? Were you not worried about that?
Good question. So personally, growing up, we always had a dog, right?
In Ghana?
In Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah, so we grew up with dogs. At some point, we even had rabbits. Okay. And then when I came back, my mom had these cute Dachshunds. Oh my goodness, there were 3 of them. And my mom is really a dog person, right? Like, they would watch the news with her, and then when she says, hey, then they'll also bark, like
really?
Yeah. So she had a community of friends who were like that, right? So I always thought, it's my mom and her people, right? So again, when I tried this, it was just for fun, honestly. It was just for fun because I wasn't thinking of making... It is fun, actually. Again, because I wasn't thinking of making money off it, right? I was thinking maybe when I'm bored and retired, right? So it started out for fun. And then when I started testing it, that's when I realized, Ghanaians, I thought we grew up in our bubble, but actually it's a lot more people than I thought. And it's also evolved a lot. In 2016, it was a lot more expats. Yes, it was Ghanaians being curious, but probably didn't have the spending power.
Yes.
But now it's shifted more and more to Ghanaians or home-based Ghanaians or people like me, returnees, but definitely rooted in Ghana and fewer expats. Right?
Yeah.
So you can see the switch that, people now are getting multi-pools and poodles, and it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot. I've read a couple of research studies also about pet food. Pet food growth in Ghana is double digit.
Really?
In Ghana and actually in Africa, it's double digit. Yeah.
Like this is like, I mean, I'm not a pet person,
right?
But I remember some years ago I interviewed somebody and he wanted to open one of these places where you can leave your pets with him and then go travel and stuff like that. Yes. And I just thought, why does somebody want to do? Who wants to do that? You see dogs roaming up and down the street, like. But I guess it is a growing industry. It's very, very new here, and you're taking advantage of that.
Yes, it's very new. Even if what I do is a niche within pet food, right? Because most people are either cooking whatever for their dogs or giving them leftovers or buying the dry ones, right? So mine is like it's like meal prep for dogs.
Really?
But
so
even
it has
within
a shelf life.
It has a shelf life. Yeah, you have to keep it in the freezer. But even within that niche, considering I haven't done much marketing, to be honest, it's surprising. It's surprising, yeah. As I speak to you now, freezer is almost empty and we're gearing up to refill again. Yeah. So, because those who want it really want it, right? Really? So we have a few key customers who are buying like 40 a month, right? So their dog is eating almost like a bowl and a half a day. And they're buying for the whole month, right? And of course, there's those that are buying 2 or 3 or 4, but there's quite a few who are in the 40, 15, 25 a month, and when they buy like that, then it's like, wow, all the stock is gone. A good problem, yeah.
Wow.
So it's definitely growing.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
So why do people prefer what you have to offer then? Because, I mean, I don't know much about dog food, but I just assume people eat either what's left over from the owners or they go and buy the dried one because the dried one, doesn't that just last for however long? It lasts
longer, yeah.
So what's the benefit of buying yours over buying the dried?
So my target customer is really interested in nutrition for their dogs, right? And not just nutrition, because I used to work on the dry. There's a lot of nutrition. There's a lot of studies done. It's not just nutrition, but it's the kind of ingredients you're using, right? Sweet potatoes, boneless beef, liver, things I can see and smell and pronounce, things that are familiar to me, right? So there's a growing trend of people wanting something not just nutritious and I can do anything nutritious and give to you, but for it to be nutritious and still look familiar and still add diversity, right? I mean, we're making beef bonnet stew with plantain for dogs, right? So what? So it's that kind of niche within pet owners who really actually they're not even pet owners, these are pet parents.
Parents.
Exactly.
Oh, really?
So yeah, they're very nurturing and they're very concerned about what's going into the dog's body, and we also call it human grade pet food because we're using quote unquote human grade ingredients.
So can a human actually eat this?
You could, but I don't think you would enjoy the taste. Right. So first of all, it's nutritionally formulated for dogs. So there's a lot more protein, a lot more meat than a human would need. And then also we don't use salt. We don't use any spices and very few seasonings, just 1 or 2 herbs that are good for dogs. But we don't use ginger or garlic, we don't use onions. Right. So the taste, it's not bland, but it's, my friend said it's like, when people maybe they have diabetes or they have blood pressure, so they can't eat salt in their food. Right? They're like, it tastes like sick people's food. Like, well, you know what? I see. So you can. Yeah. It's just nutritionally wise, it's not going to impact you, but flavor wise. But I say that, and I also say I know that there's a couple of jokes around people who have tried it and or have made a sauce to go with it. No, really? Yeah. I really wish I'd brought it because once you see it, you'll be like, you know what, this really? Looks like,
I mean, in my head, I'm just picturing this mushed up something like.
Oh no! I mean, you can see the pieces of beef, you can see the grains of rice, So I didn't bring the products, but I'll show you. Maybe we can show your viewers after. But this is what they look like, and especially the chicken and brown rice because that's like you can see the grains. Yeah.
This is crazy. I'm sorry. Like, no, I mean crazy in a good way, not crazy in a bad way. I mean crazy in a good way. Like,
all the time.
If you had given this, I would never know that this is dog food. Exactly. I probably would have been like, oh, which one would I want to eat?
Yes. Yeah. And it's happened before. And a chef actually told me, wow, your food looks good. And I was like, You're a chef and you're saying that about my food. But yeah, I remember when I used to sell at the pop-up markets, you know, I was in the food section with all the food vendors. And a few times people would come up and be like, oh, can I try this one? And then we'd have to explain, actually, it's for dogs. That's why we have this puppy. You know, because for them, it's like, it's a puppy just to make it look endearing.
Yeah.
They didn't make the link.
Right.
So yeah, it's human-grade dog food.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so are the margins in this good? It's a profitable business?
It's profitable, yes. It's a very profitable, even though it's a niche, it's a high profit niche.
Really?
Yeah.
So are you making enough money to sustain yourself at the moment, or you're not there yet?
I'm not there yet. I'm about 3/4 of the way there, and which is also okay because it's within a reasonable timing. And the reason why it's not yet 100% there is I'm spending money putting in the foundation, right? So, I mean, you're paying for pest control and you're paying for consultants to help you with, you know, the hygiene training, and you're paying for an accountant to put your books in order. So these are all things that I am setting a good foundation, right? So that then as I'm growing and scaling, I know everything's in order, it makes business sense, and it's actually generating. So all that money that I'm putting into all these things, eventually, most of them are one-off. So then eventually it's going to come to me.
Yeah.
But for now, at least I can say, yes, we're reinvesting into the business. And the one who's not being paid really is me. But it's okay because I have my runway, as you asked, right? And then once all of these things are done, probably in the next, 3 to 4 months, then I know that everything is set. And we're still growing, by the way, So within a year from now, definitely we'll be fully self-sustaining, yes, and net positive.
Wow.
But then at the same time, I do intend to put all that back into the business and scale, because there's a lot of opportunities for scaling. So
really? Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about scaling, are you talking about scaling to other countries or scaling and growing the business as in more products and things like that?
Both, yeah.
Really?
So the good stuff is going to be an African brand.
So
know.
that's what the business is. That's what it's called, the good stuff.
Because we use the good stuff, we make it like we cook it slowly. It's not like high heat, ultra processed, So it's the good stuff. And so when you ask somebody, oh, your dog looks really healthy, what do you feed them? I feed them the good stuff, right? It works like that, yeah. But yes, the plan is to have a couple more either depots or actual standalone in Accra, and definitely in major cities like Abidjan, like Lagos.
Yeah.
My Nigerian friends are like, my sister, we are waiting for you. And everything in Ghana is like 10 times in Nigeria. So definitely in key cities. And I want to always make it locally relevant, right? So maybe in Abidjan, we'll use more of acheke versus, sweet potatoes. So we're trying to make it also regionally relevant, because not only is it familiar, but then it helps you avoid all these constraints of importing something and then it didn't come through, But if we use what's locally available, then it helps to avoid that, And that's also another reason why we've been able to survive for so long, because we've always used local ingredients, right? Or locally available ingredients.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Wow, I'm actually really impressed. I'm really actually blown away by this. Seriously, I mean, I think it's brilliant. And the more entrepreneurs I talk to, I'm so inspired by them, because, it really does take a leap of faith to be able to start something,
Yeah.
And the entrepreneurial journey is not necessarily an easy one. So I know you must have faced some challenges along the way.
Yes, indeed.
What sort of challenges have you faced?
Oh my goodness. Which one should I talk about?
Which one?
Well, I would say, because this one is now pretty much resolved, because before you go for FDA approval, the process is very long and requires a lot, for good reason, right? Because you have to first understand what's going to be tested in the product, what needs to be tested. So like it's chicken, right? So salmonella, then there's E. coli for the beef, etc. So you need to understand, and then you need to submit your products for testing. That's not cheap. The testing is not cheap, and then the product that you could have sold, oh my goodness, I think I paid about maybe 7,000 eventually,
7,000 CDs.
CDs, for testing. And then now once you've finish the test, you pray that everything is within, you know, the parameters, especially the microbial one, right? Because you don't want to infect somebody.
Yeah.
Then the next step is you submit for vetting. And then you're holding your breath because you're like, oh my goodness, I hope, you know. And my vetting took about 4 months. And actually, I'd gone to a friend who was like, you know what, it'll just happen when it will. I'm not even checking my emails. And then just by accident, I went into my email and I was like, oh my goodness, it's approved. So my products were approved. I just have to make a couple of minor changes on the labels, right? But nothing, you know, like not to rework the recipe or anything. So that was challenging because I just had a lot of anxiety, you know, and it takes so much time. And you have to submit a lot of your product for both the testing and the vetting. The vetting, I think I had to submit 6 of each. And that's product I could have sold, right? So, and then there's the time. And until then, I can't scale because I need the approval to prove that, listen, you guys can trust me. My products are okay. So you need it. But it's just the time that
you can sell without it.
Correct, yeah.
But you're restricted to how far you can go with it?
Exactly, yeah. Like you can't do supermarkets, you can't do... And, you know, you can be inspected at any time. So it's better to have all your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
For me, once I did the initial analysis and I saw I was okay, that gave me peace of mind. That, okay, at least I know that I can show that I've done the first part, you know. But it still takes a long time. So in the end, it takes probably the better part of a year, maybe 8 months, right? To do first the analysis. Unless if you're accelerated, you pay more, right? Okay. Otherwise, the normal timing is about 6 weeks. And then you do the vetting, you know, and then the last part is that there'll be inspection done of my place, you know. So I've had to give up half my house, you know, to put the Veronica bucket, to designate the area as my production area. You know, that was also a bit of an adjustment for me because I love my house. I'm very introverted.
Is this a house you own or a house that you're renting? Oh,
this
you
is
own
the house I own. This is one of the things that I was like, get this done so that, you know, you don't have that hanging over your head. Yeah. So this is a house that I own, but which is mine, but it's not mine because now it's for the business. Yeah. Or half of it is for the business. To be fair, not all of it.
But you can write that off in your taxes, though, can't you? Can you?
I have to check with the accountant. But for me, my biggest adjustment was to be sharing the space. You know, because I love my space.
I know what you mean.
Very introverted, right? So I had to move things around, and to be honest, it's been good because I didn't know how I would handle it. I didn't think that I could handle it. But now that I've properly separated my personal life from it, even though it's in the same building, it doesn't feel as bad.
Okay, so you have people around that are working.
That's the thing. You have to have people you trust. You have to have people.
What has that been like, trying to like get staff you can trust and train and all of that? What's that journey been like? Because I think for a lot of people that is like one of the hardest things to get good staff. So how's that been for you?
It's been a journey. I think one of the best things somebody told me was, listen, when you have to fire, you have to fire. Don't be emotional about it. Don't be like, oh, but it took me 3 months to find her and I thought she would be the one, or I thought he would be the one. Yeah. If it's not working, you know, you have to let them go, especially within your personal space. So I remember the accountant was like, what are all these names? Who's, okay, I'm going to use theoretical names, right? Like, who's Ajwa? Who's Ama? Who's Kofi? You know, because there are all the different people. And sometimes within a month, I would change them, right? And of course, each time I'm holding my breath. Yeah. What I did to help me with the trust part was they would always come recommended. Right. So, and they were not just recommended, but they knew people I knew. Right. They were either related by blood or by, you know, family ties. So not that anything can happen, but it's less likely to happen. But yeah, I've had a couple of scares. I remember there was one lady, I remember telling her, this is my house, so please respect it, right? Yeah. And next thing I knew, her WhatsApp status was full of pictures of my house because she wanted to be an interior designer, and and I was like, you cannot do that. You cannot do that, right? Because of course you're putting it there so people will ask you where you took the pictures, and then, you know, so that was a bit scary. Yeah. But But yeah, listen, in the end, you just have to keep going till you find the right people.
Yeah.
Now I've gotten somebody and maybe another person also soon who I fully trust, right? So far so good. And honestly, I don't even say too far so good. I think they are legitimately honest, dependable, and they have their own lives. They need a job between school drop off and school pickup, do the job, leave.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not even going to hang around and so but it's been a journey. I lost track of how many people
really
I hired. Yeah. And that's when the faith part comes in, right? Because I've been telling God, I think I need to get another person.
Yeah.
Maybe national service. So I'm putting my faith out there, because you have to trust.
Okay.
So.
I want to ask you something. Do you think that Ghanaians actually really want to work?
Good question. Not all. So I've seen two extremes, and it's baffling. Or I would say it was baffling till I realized the trend. Yes, there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, I don't have a job. Money is so tight." And then they come in from day one. They put their head on the table.
Yep.
They're checking their phone, and it's 30 minutes to leaving time and trying to close already, and we still have work to do.
Yeah.
And mind you, I'm very regimented, right? So you do this from this to this. So it's not even like I'm pulling you out of the regular work time. But I've seen that. And it's baffling because it's people who I think you need the money. Sis, your phone is broken. You don't even take transport because you need to save the money, so you'd rather walk, and when it's raining, you're stuck in the rain. But I've seen that. And then I've seen the other extreme, and every time I meet them, I'm like, are you for real? Because I have met some people who are like, what do you need me to do? Okay, let's do it. I think we could do it better if we, so actually not even just doing the work, but proposing solutions. And then I'm just like, where did you come from? Right? But I think you'll get the two extremes. I think there's some people who work really hard. Unfortunately, they may not stay long because they have ambition, they have to grow.
That's
right?
the problem.
So
that's the issue.
And you have to give them your blessing and let them go and flourish, and maybe they can recommend your business. And then there's a lot who will just not make it, just not teachable, cutting corners, and for me, first we have a discussion, and I keep giving feedback, but then I get to a point where I'm like, listen, if this happens again, and then they do it, and I'm just like, maybe you thought I wasn't serious there, but
they probably see that you're a nice person, and so they want to,
exactly,
see how far they can push the boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. You get a lot of that, and then I was like, well, I don't have to be a monster, but I do have to be more firm.
It's hard,
for sure.
isn't it?
It's hard.
When you're just a genuinely nice person, you want the best for people. It's so hard.
And I don't like to be spoken to a certain way. Right? So I try not to do that to others. But I realize we all have different backgrounds, and for some people, it's boundaries that work. Right? And then I have to ask myself, do you want to forever be telling them what to do, or would you rather, let it go? So. And usually I let them go because I cannot be I mean, you're not a toddler for crying out loud, right? Yeah. So that's a big challenge. But I think now I don't see it as a challenge much because I've been talking to other entrepreneurs and I'm just like, okay, this is just what comes with it. Yeah. Just roll with it. Do your best. Unfortunately, what that means is that when I get money, I buy more technology because I don't want to be fully reliant on a person that may or may not. So eventually, especially when I scale, I'd rather buy sweet potato peeler than are you coming? It's 8:00. When will you come? I have to leave by. Listen, you know what?
Too much.
Yeah. So that is also part of the kind of in-between phase I've gone to.
Yeah.
So you have to find a way.
So have you found that anybody has come to work for you and tried to replicate your business? Because I know Ghanaians do that sometimes. I know people that it's happened to.
Yeah, good question. Not yet. What I have had is people who've asked me, more like clients, or maybe somebody saw my IG page and maybe they live in Cape Coast or wherever, right? So they're like, well, you're not in my part of town, so why don't you give me your recipes? It's not like I'm competing with you, right? And I was like, well, formulation is not just putting things together. You have to consider a lot of things. So these are proprietary. I also had one guy he was a very good worker. And then when he had to move back to his home country, he was like, well, can you share your recipes? I got a dog now. And I'm like, no, I can't. But I know that there's a risk this will happen. There's a very real risk.
Yes.
Why am I not too worried? So I told you my mom's a caterer, right? And she's a pastry chef. And she's one of, my the bar is very high for me. And so I saw people coming to work for my mom, and then they would try to replicate. And it's my small, right? So it was so funny because eventually my mom would find out, okay, she's doing the chips that I trained her to.
Yeah.
Business flop, yeah. The ones that, and my mom actually, she's the kind who's like, I give you my blessing. So for example, the first lady she trained, she does it as a business, and she has my mom's full support to the extent that, especially now that mommy's retired, she recommends her. Right?
Wow.
Because my mom always used to say, if you ask for food, people will always eat.
Yeah.
So if you do anything in food, you always have demand. She said even the bad caterers get orders, right? Because maybe somebody in your church or some family member. And I've seen it a lot with people trying, and sometimes they'll even steal her ingredients and then go and try and cook with it. But for most of them, it doesn't work out because, you're not just doing the product, right? It's the whole business around it. It's the brand, it's the marketing, it's the communication. So, getting your recipes, making your recipes proprietary is very difficult, right? Because every existing recipe is based on something else. So you can't really patent it or trademark it.
Right.
You could maybe IP the process.
Yeah.
You could IP certain things about it, but not the full thing, right? And also as a food scientist, I did reverse engineering, right? So I can look at a product and I can reverse engineer it. But most of the time, it's not going to be the same because let's say it's, so I used to work for, we call them Me Too companies, right? A Me Too cereal company.
Right.
So basically a client comes and says, honey bunches of oats, right? We want, let's say I Akua company. I want to have my own brand of honey bunches and oats, right? So I look at the ingredient list, I look at the nutrition, and I can tell, okay, that's the order, I can figure it out, but it's never 100% the same. And what you have is an Akua brand, but honey bunches of oats is still fine, right? So you will have imitation. I think for me, because of the industry I'm in, I just know to expect it. And what I'm working on this year especially is to create either a specific processing step or something proprietary about it. So I've been talking to a friend who's in legal and we have some ideas, but I need to actually work it. But it's still a long process, right? So yes, could it happen? Absolutely, it could happen.
Yeah.
Am I too worried? No. I think that my brand speaks for itself, and I just need to keep showing up because nobody has my story. Right? Nobody has a clear story. Nobody made pizza poppers for astronauts, for NASA astronauts, right? Formulation is my thing. So it's I have my own special brand, and that's what I need to keep, making visible, which I don't do enough of, right? But it's also something very doable, right? But I need to keep making my brand very relevant, and the imitators may come and go, but I don't know. I have a lot of faith that I'm doing something very unique, and even if replicated, won't be the same, right? But can it happen? Somebody's going to try.
Yeah,
somebody's going to try. Yeah.
So, do you know of any other competitors that are doing the same thing as you or very similar to you? Are there some
similar?
Here?
So actually, the biggest quote-unquote competitor, which I don't really consider a competitor, but the biggest competitor is homemade dog food, right? Most people are making it to some extent at home, right? Especially the palm nut soup, granite soup kinds, right? And then in terms of selling it commercially, I do know a couple of people. So I know one guy who, he's a breeder, he's a dog breeder, and he also breeds rabbits for sale. So then, once he dresses the rabbits, he has all the, like the intrusive yemadia, all the intestine, etc. And then he makes dog food out of it for his dogs, right? And then I've heard of a couple of breeders doing that. They usually use some mix of gari, they make some kind of soup, they buy chicken backs. So it's happening small.
I didn't know dogs can eat gari.
Yeah, they can, they can, but it's also how much, like if you just bulk it with gari and the protein is low, that's not helping, right? Which is what most of them do. Or they'll buy from the supermarkets or from butchers the offcuts. But some, depending on where you go, some of the offcuts are it's mostly fat. There's very little meat, right? So people are doing their versions of dog food, but in terms of, is it formulated to maintain dog, for dog maintenance lifestyle, that I haven't seen. Right. Not in the cooked category. In the dry, there's actually a Ghanaian brand. She's been around forever. She used to be a vet, Dr. Sai. I think I can talk about it because the product is out there. I think it's called NutriPack.
Okay.
And so she's a vet. So and she does the dry one as well. Yeah. And she's been around for a long time, So it's like those who know. Yeah. Right? So there's pockets of it. But if you ask me, honestly, right, I know it sounds a bit weird, but when you go to the supermarkets, when you go to even the container stores, what you see are the imported ones. So my first thing is, how do us local people, myself included, but I can't be the only one, right? And I also believe in diversity, right? Like customers should have more options. So my first thing is, how do we take that market, right? Because obviously if it's coming in and it's selling, there's demand for it. Right,
exactly.
So how do we do it? How do we take over? And then maybe eventually we'll start fighting among ourselves for market share. But really now, there's, I would say, 90+% is imported, right?
Wow,
so
that's crazy.
For me, the homemade, I think the main thing is for people to learn to formulate better. I'm not worried about homemade because my best clients and my best, those who really talk about my products the most, are the ones who do homemade the right way. But it's tiring. And, it takes a lot of time.
Yes.
So they're like,
convenience.
I would buy your product. I haven't, so for me, it's a big endorsement because it's like, you're gold standard and you're telling me I'm at par with you. So for me, I'm not so worried about the homemade because what I'm here to tell them is, if you want homemade, but you're too tired to cook, you don't have freezer space, you're worried about nutrition, I'm here for you, right? And then imported are the ones that we need to take over, right? So I think, honestly, it's a very interesting time for pet care, and it's going to continue to grow. Wow. It's going to continue to grow. So, maybe I'm telling people to come and be my competitor, but I actually don't think it's even competition at this point. I think that if you can come with something unique, that is truly nutritious, that, really works for the Ghanaian pet parents, then you're going to go far. And if you don't do it, I will. So
wow, I love that. I love what you said, because it's very true. It's some people can do for themselves, but it's like, who wants to do the work? Whenever I go to the States and I see that they're selling chopped onions, I'm like,
serious, right?
I'm like, how long will it take to chopped onion or a peeled garlic? Like, why? But people buy it because they don't want to do the work, and that's what we have to understand.
Exactly.
People don't want to; they want convenience, and so you're providing people convenience, and that's why they buy.
Exactly. Yeah. And actually, we have that here, just in our own form, because usually, as soon as people can afford it, they get a house help who
Yeah.
will do all the prep for them, right?
Exactly.
So it's chopped.
Yeah.
It's pre-chopped onions. Just
Yeah.
that it's maybe a more premium way of doing it.
Yeah.
I know people who they have relationships with market women, like maybe the woman who sells carrots. Please grate it for me in the evening. I'll pick it on my way home. Lettuce, please wash it for me and I'll pick it. So we still do it to an extent in our own way. Or I tell people just go along one street and look at the number of food vendors, right? And we cook at home, right?
Yeah.
So really, is there competition? I think convenience is a very underrated. Maybe we're not looking at it through the right lens, but there's 10 wache sellers from between here and my house, right? So would I be worried about dog food? No, not really.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm too optimistic, but I really think that when I look at human food, I'm like, listen, the demand for convenience is very high, right? And absolutely. I don't think one person alone, well, not now, maybe when I become as big as Dangote, yes, but, which I will be, by the way.
Remember me,
But I think there's a lot of opportunity, just that we have to make it science-based. Please don't just mix things together and call it dog food, but let's appreciate ourselves as Ghanaians, and let's not just do anything just to make money. Let's do world-class quality.
Yeah,
I think
that's
there's
what we're missing.
For that. Yeah,
absolutely right. You know, for someone who sat down here and said, "Oh, like you're really just like you are a 9-to-5. You're not really. You're a resistant entrepreneur." You sound like you have all your ducks in a row. You sound like you know what your growth plan is. You sound like you know exactly where the business is going. You sound like you have it together.
It's been 10 years, that's why. And I had my mom to look at, so I observed a lot of what my mom was doing. And I was like, okay, I'm seeing this. So I think that both of them, and my mom is still helping me, by the way. She's my unofficial procurement manager for sweet potatoes. So yesterday she brought me a whole, I think it was about 80 kilo sack of sweet potatoes, right? And my mom knows these things because of her background, because she was doing food service, so you're buying things in bulk. So I'm still using her beef supplier. When I need chicken in bulk from the cold store in Tema, and she's in Tema as well. She's the one who gets it for me. I mean, and then with the sweet potatoes, it's so funny because the lady who sells them happens to be from my dad. My dad is passed away now, but my late dad's village, right? They're from Akua. And so, of course, they strike up a friendship, right? Because my husband's also from Akua. And then, so when I told my mom, I wanted to use sweet potatoes as a seasonal product because they go in and out of season. But my clients were like, what? No, Akua, please, wherever you find sweet potatoes, because that's all my dog is eating. So then I had to find it even out of season. And then my mom is like, but this lady, she's going to Eastern region. And when she brings it, there's still, you can tell they literally just took it from the soil and shook the dirt off.
But then do you have to adjust your prices? Because I'm assuming that when it's not in season and you buy it, costs more. No,
it's actually because she's getting it straight from the farm. But this year also, let's see how it goes next year. This year has been good to us, rain-wise. So things are still in season that used not to be. But Eastern region, Bonga region, anyway, they are the food basket of Ghana, right? So they tend to have things, I wouldn't say year-round, but most of the year-round, more than we receive in Accra. So going deeper is already better. And then this year we had the added bonus of more rainfall than usual. So it's actually cheaper. It's actually been cheaper because once it comes to Accra, you're paying for the middleman.
You're paying for everything. It costs. It puts the price right up.
It puts the price up. Yeah. So it's helping me to maintain good prices, and I wish I could do that for all my ingredients. If I had a similar kind of situation for all my ingredients, and I could really look at doing something because even if my clients can't pay, I'm always like, listen. How can I sweeten the deal? How can I give a discount? How can I make it interesting for them? So I'm always looking at how I can. But the closer you can get to the source, definitely the better the prices.
I see. Do you think that there's still space for the diaspora to come back and start real businesses here and make real money?
I think so. And I'll just caveat with a couple of things. I think you do have to have your finances in a row, like you were saying, right? Like if you have a mortgage in the US or the UK and you don't have a tenant paying who can cover the mortgage, it might be difficult for you. I know there's all these stories about, I started 100 CDs and look at it. I started 100 CDs, but now I've invested about 50,000, right? Ooh. Because I have to buy cookers, I have to buy different equipment, I have to buy freezers, you know, so you may start there, but if you really want it to grow to be sustainable, you must have a source of funding, right? Either that or you're coming very well investment backed, right? I think that Ghana is very good for trying out new concepts because it's very informal, right? I mean, to meet somebody and then to say, oh, I have this product, even at your church, right? I have this product, do you want to try it and give me feedback? It's a lot easier in Ghana because we have that, you know, maybe that's where the informality helps, right? I think it's a lot easier here. So, but I think that you have to test your concept. And once your concept is good, you know, find who your target consumer is and how to reach them. And then I think you can go. But make sure you have a financial runway because either it's something that people need to get used to, and so it's not going to be selling massive amounts from day one, or it's something that people need, but guess what? You need investment, you need a factory or something, right? So, but I think that, I mean, especially in the food industry, again, look at all these imported products. It's so you know, many. It's your MBA study right there. You can look at all what is coming in, what's the value of what's coming in, where can I target? And I also think Accra is quite choked. And I'm very much in favor of people starting businesses outside of Accra and more towards from the middle to the north, right?
Do you think there's money there though? Because someone could also argue that, well, if you go to those places, things are cheaper, so you won't be able to get as much profit.
Things are cheaper, but ingredients are also cheaper. Cost of living is also cheaper. If you wanted to build if you wanted to build a factory, or you even wanted to rent, I mean, it's night and day. Right? So I think that don't only rely on Accra as your focus, especially if it's not like a premium product. If it's more of a mainstream product, and again, if you look at what's being imported, right, it gives you a very good idea of what could be done. I think vegetable canning is a very, very low-hanging fruit if you can get the factory, right? Because look at how much we're importing, right? And the biggest thing is really getting the canning equipment, you know, and maybe where it will cost is the electricity if there isn't power yet. So you might have to do solar. You know. But definitely there's ways, you know, especially if you're investor backed. But test the market first. Another plug I'll say shamelessly is University of Ghana and Tech, especially in the food industry. They have a lot of equipment that you can test. You could maybe go to the heads of department and say, I'd like to pay a grad student to do a feasibility study on I don't know, let's say baby food, right? What could work, and it could even be a joint one with an MBA student, so more of what is the market ready for, and either a food scientist or food technologist. They have a lot of equipment, and some are ready for commercialization. People are using them right now, but it's like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know University of Ghana has 2 commercial freeze dryers that people are using now, right? But they are being used under capacity, and so there's a lot of opportunity there, right? So I absolutely think there's opportunity, but make sure you test your concept, understand your customer, don't limit yourself only to Accra or the expensive areas, and leverage on partnerships with the universities, because there's a lot of students. I mean, I went to school in the US, but it's the same principle where I did research for an almond farmer, because he was like, how do I stop my almonds from being infected, right? And so he went, I went, because I got my thesis done and I got paid.
Wow.
Not much, but you know, you're a grad student, so it's enough. but then they also get the results, and it's it's something that they can use. I think we could tap into that a whole lot more, right? Wow. So there's definitely ways, but I think don't come in like, oh, I'm gonna come with $100 or £100
and try and live that dream.
Don't. I think that one is too. It's too idealistic.
Yeah.
I would love for that to be the reality, but you do have to have some true skin in the game.
Yeah.
Right? But it's worth it if you're willing to go that route. It's worth it. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about adding investors to your business, or do you want it to be just you?
Oh, eventually, yes. And I remember one of my uncles was like, because he's like, Miss Independence, I know you have money, but he's like, you can build your business with other people's money, right? The main thing, so that's what I'm working on this year, is I've hired an accounting firm now to help me get my books in order, because I've been tracking everything, but do I have an income statement yet? What lines are making sense and whatnot. So we're working on that because I want to, one, be credible to attract investors, right? Yeah. And I also want to be able to choose my investors, like not go in desperation and be like, oh, my money's finished now, right? Because you also have to be very careful about who you partner with, who you go into business with. Absolutely. And when you're not desperate, you have leverage, right? So yes, absolutely. I'm looking forward to the day when I will have investors and partners in different forms. I'm using this year to get all my ducks in a row so that they can see the true business viability. And then, so I'm hoping to start pitching, even if it's just for practice, from, by the end of this year. And I say the train is moving, right? The good stuff train is moving. Maybe it's going at, let's say 30 kilometers per hour. So that's quite a slow train, but it's still moving. With the right partner, it can maybe move to 100 kilometers per hour, right? But whether you get, even when you get off, I'll still, so I want to be at a certain level where I can really attract good partners. But having the right partners can accelerate your business. So definitely, I plan to do that. So I plan to work with ChatGPT to to help me get my pitch deck in order. Ask me a question. Ask me typical investor type questions. What's your gross profit? What's your net profit? What's your growth rate? Or the different terms and your burn rate. How much cash you have available versus what you reinvest. So I'm trying to get all that in order. And then definitely, I look forward to that actually. Wow, I think partnership and community is really the most viable way to grow. But you have to choose the right partners.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow. Like I say, I've been really impressed by everything you've said here. You've opened up my mind. It's I feel like we are missing a lot of things. We're not seeing what is right in front of us. We're focused on the big things like real estate and things like that, and we're missing so many other things that are right in front of us that can probably scale even better than real estate can eventually.
I agree.
And so just hearing stories like yours is very, very, very inspiring. So thank you so much for sharing today.
Thank you too. So, and I agree with you. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Because to be honest, when I was called to interview for pet food, I nearly fell out my chair. I was like, hey, how am I going to tell my grandma in the village that you've paid all this money, you sent my granddaughter to school, she was supposed to be a doctor and come back and take care of me, and she's going to make food, and for nothing but dogs. Like I was like, hey, how am I going to explain to my grandma, right? So and I was like, no, I'm not gonna. And I had other offers, right? So but some very wise. She's also Ghanaian, by the way. A family friend who also did food science and who knew the industry very well in the US. She was like, just go. What do you have to lose anyway? Go for the interview. And I was totally blown away. My eyes were opened from the interview. And then my prayer changed from, okay, I'll just go and try it, to, okay, God, however you're going to make this work,
make it happen for me.
Make it happen. So I think sometimes we are so stuck on what seems to be successful, right? And even though those are successful, it's not the full picture of what else could be successful, right? So I really hope that people get inspired to do more to walk there and the path less trodden a lot more, to look out for maybe less quote unquote practical, because a lot of people think food for dogs, come on, but I always say, why not? You know, why does Africa always have to have this story of people needed it, so they made it available? How about people wanted it, people desired it, people are moving to the next level. I think that we can change the game a lot. So it was a very pleasant, very happy surprise that happened.
I love that. I just want to ask you one very quick question. Why didn't you also do food for cats and things like that? Is that
good question. It's coming. It's coming.
I thought so.
So my experience, my background is on formulation for both dogs and cats. But dogs were the lower hanging fruits. But I feel like every month another person asks me, do you have cat food yet? When are you going to make cat food? We have cats. On and on and on. So it's coming. I just can't say when. Okay. But it's in the plans. Okay. And just a funny story about that. This lady, we had met at one of the pop-up markets, and then she tried to reach me, I think a week ago. And then when I just 5 minutes I was away from the phone, she went on Facebook, found my personal number, called me, and her question was, have you started the cat food yet?
Oh, really?
So I'm like, God, the demand is there. Cat food is actually more profitable.
Really?
Yeah, because it's smaller quantities, so then the out-of-pocket spend is not as painful. The smaller they are, the less they eat, right? But again, the scientist, perfectionist part, I want to get it right. Yeah. Cats need taurine, and, I have to make sure they're very prone to kidney stones, right? So I have to make sure the ash content will be okay, on and on, but it's coming. And when it comes, it will be good. It will be the good stuff. So
the good stuff. I love that. Okay, so where can people find you if they want to purchase your products or want to know a bit more about you?
So for now, we're on Instagram. It's the handle is the Good Stuff GH, and you can DM us there. You can also WhatsApp us 059 604 9412. I hope I got that in well. So you can also WhatsApp us. And then now on Fridays, we've started sampling at a pet grooming place in Jolu called Copycats.
Okay.
Number one plug. Yeah, you can even get your dog's hair dyed pink and green. It's
amazing. My gosh, this is like a niche I need to look at. What?
It's amazing. So we do sampling there. The owner has been such an angel. She's like, come and sample for free. I believe in your products. So we're there every Friday as well, and you can have free samples. And actually, even when you DM us or call us, or WhatsApp us, if you're not sure, we can send you small samples to try first, and then if if your dog likes it and the poop is okay, and you decide to now buy regularly, you can do that. And then once the entire FDA is done, hopefully by the end of the year, then our next step is now to see if we can get into the shops so that it's more available. But for now it's DM, WhatsApp, and then we send delivery via Yango, Uber, Bolt, and then we are at Copycats on Fridays as well. So we can either give you samples or if you'd like to order and pick up there, if you let us know by Thursday, then Friday you'll have it. And then you don't have to pay the delivery. Right? Yeah. So.
Wow, I love that.
So we're getting there.
Thank you so much for coming out and speaking to me today. I really appreciate everything that you've shared. It's been amazing. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you too.
Thank you. Okay. All right, guys, that's the end of today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please head over, check out Akua on all her socials. I mean, she has an amazing product, and I love the integrity behind what she's doing. So definitely head over, support her in any way that you can, okay? And if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment, and share this video. Until next time, we are out. Nuti Fafa.